a US military strike in the Caribbean that ended with two surprising survivors. It's being called one of the most dramatic moments in President Trump intensifies war on drugs. On Thursday, US forces launched an attack on semi-submersible vessel in the Caribbean Sea, a type of underwater that craft often used by traffickers to move massive quantities of narcotics. The strike destroyed the vessel, but against all odds, two crew members survived the explosion and were rescued by American force. According to Pentagon officials, the operation targeted what they describe as drug-carrying narco sub, believed to be transporting large amounts of fentanyl and cocaine toward the United States. Military drones struck the vessel for several hours before naval force moved in. After the strike, rescue teams found debris and two men clinging to floating wreckage. They were airlifted by a Navy helicopter to nearby US ship for medical treatment and questioning. President Trump confirmed the incident late Friday night, calling it proof that this administration's strategy against the global drug network is working stronger than ever. He said the two survivors, one from Ecuador and one from Colombia, would not be brought to the US for trial. Instead, they will be handed back to their home countries to face criminal prosecutions there. The president described them as enemy participants in what he calls an ongoing war against the narco-terrorists destroying our communities. Now, this is where it gets controversial. Traditionally, maritime drugs busts have been handled as law enforcement operations, with suspects tried in civilian courts. But by using military strikes and referring to traffickers as combatants, the Trump administration is blurring the line between counter-narcotics enforcement and armed conflict. Critics argue this could violate international law since these operations are happening in international waters, not US territory. Human rights groups and several members of Congress are already demanding clarity. They want to know under what legal authority the military is carrying out lethal strikes and whether the US risks turning its drug war into shadow battlefield. The administration, however, insists it's acting within its right, citing that the security powers and the need to protect Americans from a flood of synthetic drugs. Meanwhile, this latest operation marks at least the sixth such strike in the region since September, with more than 24 suspected smugglers killed. The pressure is rising, not only on traffickers but also on countries like Venezuela, which Washington accuses of allowing cartels to operate freely through its water. The Venezuelan government, for its part, has condemned the attack as an act of aggression. As for the two survivors, they are now in temporary custody overseas and expected to be interrogated before formal extradition. What happened next could determine how far this new military drug war will go and whether the US is setting a precedent for future conflict on the open sea. You are watching Morning America.